Okay, this is episode 16 of Impostor Syndrome, and today I have JD McGibney.
Howdy.
Hello. So, for the uninitiated, could you give a brief description of what you do in the entertainment industry?
Oh, well, I am a musician. I play guitar. Do a bunch of session work. I have an original project. Apparently, I act a little bit. Pretty much anything that's entertaining and usually involves heavy metal.
That's fair. That's I approve of that. That's pretty much how I do it too.
And also dragons.
Not as big on the dragons. I'm not a big power metal guy.
Listen, it's not about the power metal. It's about the fact that dragons are just really giant, scary-looking dinosaurs with wings that breathe fire. And also sentient beings and creatures that are all-knowing and do magic. That also
true. It does tend to be more of a power metal thing, though.
I know.
Even though your music's not super power metal.
All the other metal guys are missing out.
I guess, yeah.
I'm bringing it up.
We need more. We need more new metal about dragons. New prog metal.
We need mellow death about dragons.
What?
We need mellow death. Yeah, we need like an In Flames album about dragons. That's what we need.
Huh. Or maybe Children of Bodom could do it. I think they could pull that off.
Or you ready? Dark Tranquillity.
I don't know their music by heart that well, but yeah, I could see that. Sure. Or let's just get I don't know. Let's get At the Gates to do it. Why not?
That works. At the Gates writing about dragons. I'm sold.
Yeah, I gotta turn this off. This isn't working as well as I thought. Okay. So I didn't give you much prep at all for this, so it's really just the idea of the podcast is just to talk to people in the industry about, the bullshit, all just get into the nitty gritty, the real story.
Cool.
So the main question I ask everybody at the start is, how do you feel you hold yourself back?
How do I feel like I hold myself back?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think my biggest thing with how I feel I hold myself back is that even though I try to stay active on social media, and I also I go out to a lot of networking events and just try to be like really social. I'm really like a very introverted person. Like I enjoy people and I enjoy interacting. I enjoy building like friendships, but like I'm also like I enjoy me time, and I think finding a balance between having to do that social aspect of being in entertainment and then also just finding that me time. I sometimes feel like, especially when I'm doing posts on social media, I find it hard to perfectly craft what needs to be posted in order to get my message across or stay within the brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you and me and Tom have that same issue. We're all three of us are very interested.
Although I feel like Thomas definitely, he understands his brand, so he just can snap his fingers and he just has something. Yeah. And he has that balance of, okay, this is what I have to do for work, and this is, I'm going to have, my alone time.
Yeah, we talked about that when I had him on here a couple episodes back. Because I was shocked to find out that he was an introvert. Because he to me was such an extroverted person.
I find that a lot of introverted people, once they find that balance in when they figure out how to go out and make that separation between, okay, this is me time and this is my interacting with people time, they're able to do it a little bit more freely, and they like going out and interacting with people because they know how to engage people in a conversation where they're not the ones who are doing all the talking. They like to listen. They like to take in information.
Yeah, that's why I do this.
Do the pointing?
No, the podcast. But yes, I point at everybody. It's like, now you
just
talk.
Look at someone and you point and you're like, oh. You just like mind meld with them, and it's like, oh yeah, I know your entire life story now.
Exactly.
That would be such a cool trick to do. You could just like mind meld like Star Trek.
I really don't want to know what's going on in other people's heads, because I know what's going on in my head, and it's fucked up. So I don't want to know what's going on in other people's heads. It's probably worse. Maybe it would make me feel better about myself. I don't know.
I feel like it would definitely come in handy when like you look at someone, they just do something that's so silly and ridiculous, and you're trying to understand it. You're like, I can't figure this out. And you just do like the quick mind meld. And you're like, oh, I mean that almost makes sense, but I still don't get it. So maybe what?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's the. Do you struggle being an introvert? Do you feel like anytime I do social media posting, I get this insane sense of like, why do I need to do this? Like to me, it's like just writing a single post on social media is arduous work. It's harder work than scoring a film to me.
Yeah, you know,
struggle
there are times where it does seem difficult, but I'm always surprised by the people that I'm always surprised by the interactions I get with the most real posts, where the post I put the least amount of thought into, where I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna be me and show like this fun thing that I'm doing, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I enjoyed this, I'm gonna share it. You know, social media, like there is a formula to do it properly if you are doing entertainment, but the key is also just to be genuine, be you, be free, just be like how you would if you were talking to someone in person, because social media is just another way for us to connect with one another. Like if you were to go to a party, that party is social media, and then the people at that party are the users, whereas like Facebook is the party, and the people who are using Facebook are at the party goers, if that makes sense. So the more you treat it like that kind of setting, the more comfortable you become, and then the more genuine interaction you're able to get, because you're feeling comfortable, and then people are seeing that you're comfortable, and everyone's exchanging, oh yeah, this is fun, I like this, let me follow this, let me follow that.
Yeah, I mostly just repost memes.
Memes are always funny.
Yes,
especially like what's that comic strip with like the little alien guys?
I don't know what that's called, but I love that meme. It's so good.
Those guys are whoever the artist is, like, genius.
I'm sure it's
Awkward
multiple
Yeti.
people.
Awkward Yeti. Heart and Brain, man. Like those guys get me.
I don't ever pay attention to the names of the people that make them. I probably should give them credit. I have one friend that like he posts memes. That's all he does is post memes. So I wind up just reposting his a lot of times.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, I guess that's you're getting me. You're getting the side of my sense of humor. I never like have the instinct to just write what I'm feeling. It's just not a.
Well, it's not always just about like you don't have to have each social media post be a poem. It could be like,
No.
Oh, I went and got coffee with XYZ, Tom or like Bill or something, and like this crazy woman came over and sat on his lap and then chugged 3 lattes upside down while juggling, and then got up and left. Like people would be like, that's really weird. And
that's something I would post, but like.
Like that would be like a genuine post, and people would be like, that's weird.
Interesting. Yeah,
or
interesting.
You're at the studio and you're recording, and out of nowhere you're listening back, and there's like a ghost voice, and that doesn't make any sense because everything's DI. You don't know where the voice is coming from. Fun fact: there is a track on the Opeth album. What is it? Still Life. I forgot what track it is, but there's like a voice on one of the tracks that no one can pinpoint, and like there was only like 2 or 3 people in the studio, and nobody was near like the microphones, and they ended up recording one of the voices, so that a ghost voice on that album.
Maybe it's Melinda. It's the ghost of Melinda.
Ooh, the ghost of the Moor.
Exactly. Actually, Slipknot had a similar thing.
Oh yeah, when they were doing All Hope Is Gone, they were recording in that weird
No,
creepy barn, right?
verses. It was subliminal verses. They recorded at the Houdini mansion, and
That's what I'm thinking of.
It's actually at the end of Before I Forget. There's like they recorded it. It was like it's just like static from the tape, and then they added to it. They added some extra stuff, but so I don't. I've listened to it, and I still don't know what was the ghost and what was just what stuff that they added to it. I don't know what the original sounds like.
You know what? Whatever it was, it's really cool. It's a nice little added extra thing in there.
Yeah. Well, I read Corey's book. He did a book about like his ghost stories, and
that's cool.
That house, he had some pretty freaky shit. At that particular house.
I can only imagine like the kind of thing that they were like experiencing. I think that would be really cool too. Like when you do like either like a writing session or you do a recording session, just have everything be at like a destination where you just go to the specific place just to get like the vibe. I think Testament, when they did I forget if it's Formation Damnation or the album after that, they ended up just flying to like a castle in England and like just recorded out there. But like that's really cool because like you capture the emotional aspect of the music that way, where it's not just we're just going to like a studio, in the city that we live in. You're getting out of your element. You're going somewhere specific where like you want to get this feeling. You really want to capture it for this record or for this single.
Yeah, I'd love to have that kind of budget.
You and me both.
Yeah, because you're looking at my studio.
Split the cost on buying a castle, is what you're saying,
yes.
Right?
Yes. or let's do a log cabin. It's cheap, but power might be an issue.
We could do log cabin in the shape of a castle, which makes it a Civil War fort.
Sure. Okay. Maybe. We got to look for places that a lot of people died. It's got to be. We got to go out of our way to find.
All right, so we're gonna have like a 2-week trip to Gettysburg, and we're just gonna record on the battlefield.
All right. It should be. Hopefully, we get some good Opethy type of tunes.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be so creepy.
I would love to do that. I know. One of my dreams is to one day I want to do an old school record. Like I want to have the whole band in a room together, like what Meshuggah did for the last album.
Oh yeah, that's
nuts.
Well, I think what they did was they did it all live, and everything's done in one take. And they did a couple different takes each, but since they're all playing to a click track, they just took the best takes from each person.
No, I don't think they were playing to a click track on that one. I'm pretty sure they
always played with click track.
I think that was the one that they didn't.
Well, I know they didn't do any edits because they're definitely. Because like playing live, they all played it like they have a click track and like they're all have like the indie.
Yeah.
There's no counting, which is nuts. It's literally like the most insane like thing ever because it's just like you're sitting there and like, out of nowhere they're punching the face without any counting. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I mean, if I was playing live more, that I would have a click track set up too because it's just the way I write. I have too many backing tracks. It's just I can't not have a click.
I mean, you can just get, a full band and then an orchestra and then, an eagle in the background just for shits and giggles.
Yes. Oh, yes, I will just get an orchestra.
Yeah, why not? Listen, Demon Billboard Gear does it.
True, but I often wonder how they got the budget for that. Because...
Well, those guys are just really good
big.
with running a business. And I think they only do the orchestra for festivals, like if they do Wacken and whatnot.
And they only did it for that album. I mean, like, they recorded it live.
They've done, like, an actual orchestra for a couple of them, like, where they just go and hire it for the recording. And then for when they're doing live, they just, I imagine, would play with backing tracks. I've only seen them live once, and they had backing tracks when I saw them.
Oh yeah, you have to. You even with a keyboardist, you need backing tracks. There's just only so much you can layer.
There's just so much going on in that music too. Like you need it. Same thing with Septic Flesh.
Actually, it's funny though. Demu's most recent album, they didn't have a live orchestra. They'd had it for the past 3 or 4.
Really?
Yeah, this was they didn't maybe in certain parts, but it was like they definitely had some choir, but they pretty much relied on this was a much lower budget record. 'Cause
Really, I'm very surprised at that one.
it's been 8 years. I mean, I guess they didn't have that. I mean, a lot's changed in the music industry in the last 8 years, so I don't think they had the same clout that they used to.
Yeah, anything's possible. But
Yeah, but yeah, it was still a great record.
no, 100%. Like that was definitely fantastic.
Hmm. Um. So yeah, we went on a tangent. It was a good tangent, which I imagine. Well, we're both huge metalheads, so I imagine those tangents are just going to happen.
We could talk metal for a week straight and not get tired. So
Yes, yeah, I know it's a problem. I have the same thing with Star Wars too, with some of my other guests.
listen, we're getting Star Wars. We could definitely go some heavy deep cuts on this.
It could be a problem. So I saw you're moving up here. You're working with Tom.
Yeah, I am. I'm moving back to the state of. Yeah, no, I'm gonna be working with BBR Productions, and basically he's expanding the company, and I'm going to be working with him to do said expansion.
What exactly are you doing? What's your role in his company?
The exact title is yet to be given, but I just keep calling myself Second Banana because it's funny. So basically, it's a bit of everything.
So kind of, yeah. I don't even know how you any way you could describe the job position, or no? It's just too nebulous.
Literally anything that needs to get done. Like I'm just gonna be, Second Banana. I really want to get like a little desk plaque that says JD McGibney, Second Banana.
Just dress up as a banana. Just get him.
You know what? That would be fantastic, except for summertime because New York in the summer is like stupid humid.
Yeah,
I moved out here to Los Angeles like 5.5 years ago, and I'd been out here for like 3 years, and I'd only gone back to New York in winter for visiting family during the holidays, and I ended up going back 2 years ago for the Altanian and the Raw charity event, which was in the middle of July. And I had not been back to New York in the summer in like 3 years. So, like I totally forgot what it was like. And my plane landed at midnight. I'm like, cool, I'm ready, And I was gonna spend like a day or two with my folks who got a little early. And my dad was gonna pick me up, so I'm all excited. Yeah, I'm gonna see my dad. And I'm walking through the tunnel, get out of the tunnel into the terminal in the airport, and I felt like I got punched in the face with the heat and the humidity. I'm like, oh my god, I cannot breathe. What is going on right now? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It's stupid humid in New York in July.
Yeah, I guess it's funny. Even though you're on the ocean, it's not nearly as humid out there, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy because like Southern California is technically a desert and it doesn't really like hold humidity.
Yeah, it's a converted desert.
Yeah. What is interesting that does happen is that if you're over by the ocean, LA is kind of like split into two. Like there's a mountain range, like a small mountain range that cuts the city in half. So you have like the main city, then on the south side, and on the north side you have the valley. The valley is like stupid hot, like all the time. It's not weird for it to be anywhere between 5 to like 20 degrees hotter in the valley than the rest of the city. But what happens is on a really, really, really hot day, especially by the water, it'll be really hot, and then by the end of the day, you'll get this giant fog layer, which is called the marine layer, will come in and like engulf the city in like really thick fog for a couple hours to like a day at most, and it gets stuck in the mountains, so it just piles up. And what that does is it acts as like a natural air conditioner, and it lowers the temperature. Because it's so hot, it just dissipates really quickly. So the humidity just disappears and goes back to the ocean. It doesn't stick around on anything.
I'll be coming out there in September, so I'll have to see if I experience that.
Oh, cool. When in September are you coming out?
17th through the 22nd or 23rd.
Oh, that's fun. What are you coming out for?
things. I'm not allowed to. I don't know if I'm allowed. I think I'm allowed to talk about it. I'm involved.
So is it entertainment things?
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Well,
I'm
that's cool.
involved in a film, and we're doing some stuff for crowdfunding with
Very
some
cool,
people.
man.
Yes.
Whereabouts in the city are you gonna be hanging out?
I think they said Culver City.
Oh yeah, Culver City is really fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 30 minutes from Santa Monica, which
Yeah.
is really nice. Culver City, you can get to Hollywood pretty quickly in about 30 minutes.
So it's kind of like a little nexus point.
Yeah, and then Culver City over the past like 10 years or so, it's kind of just started to become like a nice little hub of like hangouts. There's like a couple of like restaurants and bars. So definitely, it's a cool spot to hang out in. And what is it? Is it MGM? The old MGM Studios, which is something else now, is in Culver City.
So you being a native New Yorker, how was that transition moving over to LA?
It is a completely different way of life out here. I'm originally from Long Island, which, if you're from New York, there's three types of New York. There's upstate New York, there's New York City, and there's Long Island. Like this,
Yeah.
Three different mentalities, three different worlds. And, Long Island is completely different than Los Angeles, like mentality-wise. So it definitely took a little bit of getting used to, in that regard, just because like one, Long Island specifically is very much like, you kind of like you go to work, you have your job, you do your 9 to 5, and like it's very in the box. So coming out to LA, where a good chunk of the city is based around entertainment, or just people are just used to the entertainment industry, it was a lot more freeing to be like, oh, okay, cool, I can do things this way and not feel, like as much pressure. Like there's definitely pressure because like you have to constantly work as like any entertainer. You're a private contractor and you're running your own business, and you have to be the one that is constantly working, getting things done. But coming out here where the environment was rich for that kind of thing, it made the stress kind of fun, made it work.
And everybody you meet is also in the entertainment industry, so I guess that kind of...
If someone's not in the entertainment industry out here, odds are they know at least like 3 people who are in the entertainment industry out here. It's a very small world, and even like, if you're talking about people in music know people in film. If you're talking to someone who's in film, they know people in music. It's really, really small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have a 100% plan yet, but I'm probably going to wind up out there at some point, soon.
It's definitely worth coming out to Los Angeles if you're in entertainment, at least at some point, to do anything. Just kind of get your foot in the door, see what it's really like with the entertainment industry. Coming from New York, there are elements out there where you meet people that are in the entertainment industry and they understand. But it's really a completely different world out here.
Yeah.
Because most of the big, motion picture companies are based out here. Most of the big record labels are based out here. Like they'll have offices, in New York specifically, but there's more people per capita here in Los Angeles. And I think it's also, if you're an artist, it's a really good thing for you as like mentally kind of just get out and try living in a new spot, mainly because it teaches you to think differently and it teaches you to think outside the box and teaches you to adapt. Because if you're born and raised in one place, you're like, okay, this is how things are everywhere. But when you move, especially like 3,000 miles away, it's literally like, almost another planet.
Yeah, it'd be weird to me, like, living in a spot where it's sunny all year round. Like, I can't even get my head around that. Like,
yeah, dude, when it rains out here, like, I think people just use it as an excuse because they're like, well, can't do things, bye. because like there literally is no excuse to like cancel things. Like in New York, you get snow days, you get a hurricane, you get a flood, something happens at least once every 3 months where it's like, okay, we have to cancel because something weather-wise. Here, it's just like, nope, perfect every day.
Yeah, that's true. But when it does rain, it's like hell, probably. Because I was there when it was raining.
It is, because people aren't used to driving in it, and then especially if you're in like the hills, since the ground is not used to having water, it's just basically rock. So the water just kind of like builds up and just slides down, and you get like mudslides, which is dangerous.
I was nervous about that when I was out there 2 years ago because I was out there in January when it happened to be just torrential downpour for like a week or a couple weeks straight.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I went up to Griffith Park because I'd never been up there before. I was driving.
In the rain.
Well, no, that happened to be the day that it wasn't raining, but I was still nervous because I was like, I'm driving up these really tight hills, and there's just these sheer cliff faces. So I'm like, it's been raining a lot. I'm probably gonna die.
Yeah, no, there definitely are a lot of like rock slides because of that shit. It's really scary.
Yeah, and that ground is not. It's not the same dirt as here either. So that's you get a little bit of water.
But it's really good for growing fruit.
Huh.
Dude, there's like fresh fruit and vegetables all the time.
That sounds awesome.
The plum.
You'll miss, that'll be the one thing you have to miss out here. Here you can get fresh fish. And
I'm totally down for that. I'm okay. I love fish.
Okay. Well.
Although I am looking forward to having really good apples, which, like, apples are like okay out here, but like they're like a fruit that really comes out in fall, and there's not really fall out here. It's just always spring and then slightly warmer spring.
Yeah, I wonder what I'll miss because I've lived out here my whole life, so it's.
Pizza. You'll miss pizza. You're gonna miss bagels, and you're gonna miss knishes because no one out here knows what the fuck a knish is.
You know, I honestly don't have much exposure to knishes, to be honest, because
But you know what one is.
I know what one is. Yes. Yeah. I've actually never had one for some reason. Maybe.
Growing up in a very, very stereotypical Jewish household, I highly recommend you have a knish.
Okay. Well,
with a little bit of brown mustard.
All right, next streetcar I see, I will get it for sure.
Yeah. JD said I gotta try this thing.
Yes, it's for you. It's tribute to you.
I get tagged in an Instagram picture. JD said I have to eat this.
Yes. Next time I go into the city, I live in Staten Island, so I don't go out there that much.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a deli in Staten Island.
Oh, I'm sure. I just never looked. Just there's one little.
Also, like apparently. There's like breakfast sandwiches. Like bacon, egg, and cheese. Yeah. They're not a thing out here. Like if you go and order like a breakfast sandwich, they're just like, "Oh, what do you want on it?" It's like, "What do you mean? I just want bacon, egg, and cheese." It's so weird.
Yeah. That is weird because like I thought it was weird. It was only once I moved out to Staten Island that I knew the bacon, egg, and cheese thing was like a thing. Because like I lived in New Jersey my whole life. We have Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. That's our thing. Where I never knew that bacon, egg, and cheese was such a big New York thing.
Yep, bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's so simple, but it's so good. Like out here, like there are a lot of really good like breakfast places, but like they go like balls to the wall with making their food. Like there's a place not far from where I live now called Steampunk Cafe, which is like, oh my god, it's so good. Like I used to live like a good 30, 40 minutes away from Steampunk. I would schedule business meetings to go to Steampunk.
I'm writing that down right now.
Away, and people would be like, "Oh, you live near here?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm like an hour away from this place because it was really good."
All right, I'm writing this down because I'm going out there. So,
dude, it's so crazy how much food. Oh yeah, no, Steampunk Cafes in Van Nuys. It's really,
Okay.
really, really good. They had this drink called the Mexican mocha, which is just like, like a mocha, but it's got a little bit of like chili powder in it. Oh, so good.
That sounds good.
It's crazy how much like food really just like, lures you in, how important it really is.
It's like
So I
it's
think
like the
that's
essential.
probably one of my favorite things about being a musician and like the touring aspect is like you get to places.
No,
It's
sorry.
one of the things that like you can connect with literally anybody on, and like when you go to different places when you're on tour, you either get people. What was that?
We're getting a bad delay. Yeah, it's a really bad delay.
Yeah. All right. So like, is it still delayed?
Yeah, it's bad.
But one of my favorite things about touring is you get to try all this food like all over the place, and people will either they want to feed you, and you get this home cooked meals that are like fantastic in the middle of like Texas. You get like awesome like Tex-Mex or barbecue, or you get to some place and you ask people, hey, like what's a really good local joint that's near here that like people go to, and like everyone at the venue is going to be like, oh man, you got to try this place over here. And one of the best Mexican places I've had like ever, it was recommended by people in in San Diego. It's just right around the corner from the venue.
That's awesome.
Oh my god, dude, I love food.
You can't not. Actually, have you ever been to Pasta Sisters?
What's Pasta Sisters?
You have to go there while you're still in LA, because that's my one place that like when I go out there, I have to go there. Fresh pasta, and it's unbelievable. It's super cheap too, and it's.
Do you know where it is?
Yeah, I don't know the exact location. You just have to Google Pasta Sisters.
I'll use the internet.
Yes, exactly. That's what the internet's for. But it is it's this tiny little deli. It's not a restaurant. It's just like you walk in and there's only 4 tables.
I'll tell it's good.
Yeah, I mean the whole dining area is like not much bigger than my room, and you get that pasta from there, and it's out of this world. And it's California too, so you're like I think pasta here, in New York.
See,
that's where all the Italians are.
This place must be run by like genuine Italians.
Oh, they are.
That's the thing. Like, there's like everyone out here is like a mishmash of everything, and not a lot of people are really like, I guess, like connected to their their ancestry. Like in New York, you have people are like, I'm fucking Italian. You know what I mean? And like that's still very much a thing. And people have like family recipes that are like 400 years old that they're still using, and like mom and pop pizzeria.
Yeah, this place, they're legit Italians. The guy's a ginger, so you wouldn't expect him to be an Italian, but yeah, because he's like super white, super ginger. But yeah, they got the accent. Yeah, they're right off the boat. Yeah, but yeah, it's so good. Definitely go there before you leave.
Pasta Sisters. I gotta look it up.
And now you're gonna be like, "Fuck! Why am I leaving LA?" That would be my.
Man. I'm gonna be in New York, and I can literally just throw a rock in any direction. I'll probably hit a pizza spot that's like good.
Yes, yeah, it's very true.
I've been out here for 5.5 years, and I found like one place that is like acceptable.
Okay, and I have to write that down again too because that's information I need to know.
Yep.
Okay, what's that one?
Pizza Nista. It is in downtown Los Angeles.
How do you spell the Nista part?
Nista.
Okay, so Pizza Nista. So that's passable?
Yep, and you can actually buy it by the slice. And out here, nobody has like white pizza, but like they got white pizza.
So it's like an actual pizza place.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep. Like most pizzas out here are like fancy bread.
That's disturbing. I don't understand how people can't make it in other places. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, it seems like an easy thing to get right.
But here, the thing is, like, one, I legit think it's the water in New York, because like the water out here, like coming from the tap, is it's not fresh. Like they have to store it because Los Angeles is a desert, so it's got to be stored. Whereas in New York, it's pretty much just out of the ground into your faucet. So it's like super clean. So that's the first thing. And like I said before, I think a lot of people out here, like they come out here because they're trying new things and they're trying to be creative, trying to be inventive. They're not necessarily latching up like their roots or their family or their heritage. Whereas like New York, especially on the East Coast in general, you have a lot of people that are very connected to their heritage, and they have a lot of these really like long-standing traditions.
Yeah, you gotta have both. It's like, I mean, I like the over-engineered stuff that they have out there. It's interesting. I'm down to try it, but at the end of the day, I want some real pizza.
Yeah, like if it's not oozing oil, like it's not a good slice of pizza.
I love greasy pizza. I love it.
See, that's the thing too. Is like with pizza, like there's some dishes that you just got to keep it really, really simple. It's like with pizza, it's just cheese, sauce, and bread. So you can, if you do anything else, it's like,
I like the experimentation. You know, it is not enough. I don't know why not enough places make this. Is pesto pizza. That should be a more common thing, and it's not.
My favorite was always Sicilian. Like you get the cheese, you get the sauce, and you get this really fluffy. Like if you do it right, it's a little bit like doughy, like crust, and it's just so good. Ugh.
But you ever go to what's the place in Brooklyn?
The answer is no. Most of my time when I was on Long Island was kind of just stuck on Long Island, which is I'm really glad that I got off of Long Island because I had gotten into a routine where it was just doing the same thing every day. I got into a box. I got into a comfortable, algorithm basically. And coming out here, making that decision to just move and kind of just take being in entertainment seriously, I think kickstarted a lot of things, and it helped me be more comfortable with things that were outside of my control. And it also, I think it helped think outside the box, which is coming back to the point I made earlier, where I think it's just a good idea, especially if you were born and raised somewhere, to just live in another city, even if it's just for like a month, 6 months, whatever, just to give you another perspective.
Also, one thing with LA, I mean, I know it's notorious for its traffic, but you can still kind of get anywhere. Like you can just get in your car and go. Whereas the one thing I think that's very difficult about New York, and I didn't realize this until I moved out here, is that all the boroughs are so separated by the bridges because they're all separated by a bridge. It makes travel between such a pain in the butt. It should be easy for me to just leave Staten Island where I live and go to the Bronx.
In theory, I think that's a big issue that happens with most major cities. That you just have everyone that kind of like congregates together, and you have to accommodate for all those people. And I think it also just comes down to like your personality and what you prefer. Driving Los Angeles, like you have to drive. Like there's no other really other option. Like you can take some buses, but that's depending on where you are, and they only go certain places, and they're only kind of reliable. The train system, it goes some places, but relatively speaking, it's a new thing because they got rid of the original trolley system back in like the 50s to now LA ground car drive, which is really annoying, and you have to really plan out to be really good at time management. Which if you are like in entertainment, you have your own schedule. It gives you a little bit more of a leeway because you can just be like, oh, I'm just gonna be all the way east during the day and slowly work my way west to avoid as much traffic as possible. But like, whereas in New York, you have like one of the best train systems, though you're still going to be traveling half a mile. You don't have to be the one driving. You just
I do like that aspect.
Wait.
See, I think for me, because I grew up in a place there's no public transit where I grew up, so driving's no issue for me, and having to take the public transit most of the time to go into New York is annoying as hell to me, because it takes longer. Whereas, like, if I were to drive, it'd be much quicker, but the parking is insanely expensive, and tolls. So it's not worth it to drive at all around here. Uh-oh. Froze. Uh-oh.
Well, that just goes back to, like, your personal preference and, like, if you, you have... Can you see me, hear me now?
I can, yes.
Uh-oh.
We're getting really bad connection, though. It's really bad.
Am I back? Is it froze?
No, I can see you now. But, it's funny. It delays, and then it speeds up real quick to catch up.
You want me to call back and try doing, like, a clear? Yep.
No, that's fine. We're already in recording, so it's all good. I don't edit these, so it's just leave the mistakes in.
Awesome.
It's the way I record music too. But it's funny because it was speeding up to catch up the video, and you were scratching your beard, so it really made you look like a crackhead. You're just like. Yeah. So I guess let's talk a little bit more about the music stuff. So you were talking about touring. You've been doing that extensively, I assume, or
yeah,
I know you do
I've
session
done a bunch of session work. I've toured with a couple of metal bands. Gone over the U.S., gone to Canada, gone to Europe, and it's really fun because like you get to experience so much in such a short amount of time, and you get to experience, like, even just in the U.S., going from city to city, you get to experience different cultures, from one day to the next. Like, Denver is completely different than Salt Lake City, and most of the time you will do, like, on any tour, you'll do Denver to Salt Lake or Salt Lake to Denver, and like it's just two different planets, and it's interesting and it's fun to see what people are like in both cities, and you get to interact with different people, and then you also, again, get to try food everywhere, and also you get to connect with people on such a personal level, because you're the one who's performing this music that people are fans of, and like you are emotionally invested into it because you are a musician, and as a musician you're kind of just emotionally invested into music, period. I mean, that's why you do this, because you love doing it. And then you're up on stage and you have these people who are like, we love what you're doing. And then you have that moment where you're performing, especially in a heavy metal concert. I've always been fascinated by the crowd participation being such an important aspect of it.
Oh, yeah.
And on stage, and then like the band feeds off of the energy of the audience, and the audience feeds off the energy of the band. So like, it's a constant back and forth, and there's just always so much movement, and it's so organic, and
yeah.
It's such a it's really hard to just explain that feeling, especially being on both sides of that. Like you both perspectives, and it's really hard to just put into words. At least I'm finding it difficult to do that.
No, I totally get it.
And when you're off stage, you have the ability to talk to people too, and really just actually verbalize, like, oh my god, and share that moment. It's really, it's kind of a humbling thing, because you see how much alike we all really are. Where it's just like, we're all just emotional creatures. We have these thoughts, we have these emotions, we have these feelings. And everyone, it doesn't matter if you're in the audience, it doesn't matter if you're on stage, everyone connects because we're saying we want to have to express the world, we want to know things, we want to experience things together. And it's a really, feeling, even if it's here, Canada, it's in Europe. It doesn't matter if you can't even speak the language that someone speaks. Like, you still connect with those people, and it literally is just magic.
I tell you, I wish more people could experience a metal show, because it's not like any other kind of concert. Like, not even close. It's its own separate experience. And people, like, it's, for somebody who's not initiated, it seems like this scary, violent thing. But, like, I say it all the time. I've hugged more strange, sweaty men at metal shows than most other people ever will. I was at Within Temptation in March, and I was with a group of like 6 dudes I'd only met that night. And at the last song, we all had our arms together. We were huddled in a circle, jumping around, crushing each other with love. It was an amazing thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about, and that's
Yes.
that's what makes metal in particular, so fascinating. The fact that it's also so organic. Like, part of the genre is to allow everyone to participate, and the whole message is that whatever you're feeling, it doesn't matter what the feeling is, you have every right to express it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really cool that metal has so many subgenres as well, where you can have a band like Judas Priest, you can have a band like Nightwish, you can have a band like Periphery, you can have a band like Cattle Decapitation or Cannibal Corpse. Like, they're all metal, but they sound completely different.
And thankfully nowadays they're starting to combine them more.
Yeah, but the idea of having these different subgenres and being so sonically different is also a really strong representation of the message, which is just inclusion and allowing everyone to come together because of the music. It doesn't, there is no judgment that is passed.
Yeah, like what I was just saying is, I really like that nowadays they're starting to combine subgenres more, whereas that it used to be a little tighter. Like, it'd be like, this is a death metal bill, this is a thrash metal.
Dude, like Prog Power USA, it's the lineup for that, like 2 years ago. It was just like power metal, death metal, and then a band like Ailstorm, which is like pirate metal. Yeah. So I'm going to see. Like, it doesn't matter. It's about just coming together and just enjoying the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to see. Yes. No, I never get the food at a concert. Fuck that. You're talking about like $15 for a subpar cheeseburger.
Whatever. If you're playing a festival, they just feed you. Like,
that's good.
Eat everything. So, like,
I'm never on that end.
Also, if you're like at a destination, like what Prog Power's in Atlanta, right? Living in New York and then living out here in California, I don't really get a lot of Southern cooking or like barbecue. And you go to Atlanta, you get some like really good Southern cuisine.
Oh,
and sweet
I can only imagine.
And sweet tea.
Yeah. See, I'd love to experience that, but I'm always at the concert as a viewer, so I don't get the catering.
Hey, listen, work on it and get there as an act, and they'll feed you food.
Okay, that's the goal, to get to that point where they actually do feed you.
So why did you get into entertainment? Well, I just really wanted to eat the food at these festivals. Like, that's really the only reason why I'm here.
I was surprised. See, like, you're the first person I've heard talk about it positively, because from what I always hear, it's as much of a hellhole in the back of those festivals as it is up front, as far as like.
Well, it depends on what festivals you're doing. Like, if you have something that's kind of like a low budget thing, like, again, like your budget's going to be, not the best. But the idea is, like, you want to try and build something up to the point where, like, you have enough people that are involved and want to be part of it, where, like, the budget's going to be higher. Like, this is everybody that's the goal, right? Like, for bands that are coming in, especially for a festival, you have a lot of bands that are, like, coming in from other countries, that are coming from all over the place. You just have a large group. The idea is you want to make them feel comfortable, because they're traveling. They're, like, it's not strange for like bands to be on tour and then like, oh, we'll stop and do this festival. And like, when you're on tour, especially if you're coming from like another country, like, you're just like, I don't know what time zone I'm in. I think I've been awake for 36 hours. I'm just going to go out here and do stuff. Maybe there's food. And like, if you have food there that's like really good and it's like home cooked or it's like catered or something, you feel welcome, and it's like, okay, I can relax for a little bit, and like you just feel a little bit more at home because of something like that.
Mm.
That being said, I've definitely had experiences on tour where like not festival wise, but doing shows and like having like smaller venues or smaller budget things where like, you know, you have to fight to get like water, and it's like, dude, we're up here performing. You can give us the water.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how bad some venues are to bands that are playing at their venue.
Yeah, it's also weird too. Like I've noticed this. There are some venues in the United States that tend to be the ones that are more likely to be difficult, whereas over in Europe, they're a lot. They understand that, you know, this is your job, this is your work, and it's not easy because you're just constantly moving. Like even if you're doing a tour where it's like you're on a bus, you have a full crew, like you don't have to do like any physical labor, you're still really tired because you have to do all of your social media stuff. You're traveling back and forth between time zones, which leaves your body all crazy. You're on a bus, which is moving all the time, so you're not really getting a full night's sleep. You have to interact with people all day, every day, which is fun, but like emotionally, it can be very, very taxing. So like in Europe, you have a lot more understanding of that aspect. And so like people will always be like, "What can I do for you? Here's food. Here's snacks the second you get here. Here's a full catered meal a little bit later. Here's some like drinks that you guys drink. Here's healthy snacks. Here's fruit, cheese."
Yeah, Europe's a much more understanding of, like, being a musician isn't a scarlet letter over there, whereas here it kind of is. Like, it's kind of a looked down upon thing.
I don't think it's a look down upon thing. I think it's anywhere you go. If you say you're a musician, some people look at you with a weird lens, because a lot of musicians tend to just be kind of like flighty because they don't understand that you need to flip the switch back and forth being like an artist and a creative when you're making your art, but you have to learn to be a business. And a lot of musicians don't treat themselves like a business, unfortunately. So that's kind of what people tend to expect. If you say you're a musician, people are like, oh, this guy's going to be, or this gal is going to be professional, but that is not the case all the time.
Yeah, and they're not wrong for that. But I think to some degree, and I actually noticed this in myself, that whereas the outside, your whole life you're kind of fed this image of what a musician is, and like what I noticed was I had internalized a lot of that.
Yep.
Those expectations, and so I automatically think I'm lesser, or that I don't deserve to be treated like any other profession.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody on the planet deserves to be treated with respect and honor and like properly. It's just as long as you in kind return that respect and you treat people properly, it should only just grow from there. Everyone should have like a base level where you're just automatically treated respectfully because everyone's a human being, and don't be a dick.
Yes.
Which is my golden rule of life. Don't be a dick. So everyone should, theoretically start here and just kind of move up together. But the truth is, people see themselves up here and then see others like down here, or like vice versa. And it's this leads into the the topic of like mental health as well, where it's like we kind of, because we're emotional creatures, we sometimes do certain things or like teach each other certain things, like what we feel others are like. And that definitely comes into play when you're an artist in particular. It's not just musicians, where a lot of people don't understand how you can make a living being an artist.
Yeah.
So they tell people, oh, it doesn't make any sense. It's luck of the draw. It's this and that. Like, no one really, for the most part, tells you that you have to bust your ass all day, every day in order to make it happen. But it is,
Yeah.
it's feasible. So, like, when you try to become an artist, you know, it's very emotionally daunting at first, especially if you're, like, really young and you haven't done research yet to see, oh, what do I have to do?
Yeah, we artists all, especially the people that are professionals, need to start being more open about the business side because there's still, I think it's getting much better now because we have YouTube and more artists are more, like Periphery in particular, are very good about this. They really talk about the business stuff.
Yeah, which also a lot of artists who are successful tend to not really understand why they're successful.
Oh.
And my biggest pet peeve, like my biggest pet peeve with musicians and songwriters and artists is saying that, you know, you just have to write something really good. And like that is bullshit. Like you have to write something, you have to create something that you're proud of. Like, because in order, when you say you have to write something that's really good, you're saying that, you know, somebody's song, somebody's piece of art is, you know, more important than somebody else's, which I fucking hate. I hate that with a fire passion. Because everyone's emotional expression is just as equal. It just comes down to your personal preference. But the thing is, you have to be comfortable enough to create something that you are proud of, something that you believe in, because when you're doing that, people pick up on that, and people are like, wow, this person stands by what they're making. You know, I'm gonna fall in love with this and like follow along. You know, I like this, but I really just enjoy this journey that this person is going on, and like how brave they are being putting themselves out there like that. So that's why you can have, you know, singer-songwriters who just, you know, play guitar as an accompaniment, who have phenomenal voices and are just they're comfortable expressing themselves, and that's really what people latch onto. That's why you can have a band like Dream Theater who are like, they just happen to be fantastic fucking musicians and probably aliens from Mars, but like they're genuine about what they're doing and they believe in their art, and it's very obvious.
That, you know, did you listen to the new Slipknot record?
Dude, I love that record.
Yes, it is phenomenal. And they've done, like, I listened to a song like Spiders. I'm like, this is, dude, like,
it's so out of nowhere. It's like a blues rock song. It's like, where'd this come from?
I love it. It's so good. It's so like they're doing stuff out of the ordinary for them.
But it still sounds like Slipknot.
Oh yeah.
Like my favorite song on that album is A Liar's Funeral.
Okay. Nero Forte for me.
That one's my second, because it's very like, it's very like Swedish melodic death metal. It's very like In Flames, you're like at the gates. I'm like, okay, I like this one.
I almost did that as my cover for this week, but I hadn't had enough time to absorb that song yet, to learn it and record it. I probably will at some point soon, because that's such a good song.
Like that entire record, just it flows so seamlessly. Like when I was listening to it, like it just felt like they wrote the entire thing like musically as one piece. Because like I love Slipknot, but like every album, they're like, it's like, oh, they wrote a song, it's over. They wrote a song, it's over. They wrote a song, it's over. This one for me, like it was just like an hour of like one big thing. I was like, holy shit, this is so good.
Well, they had a couple in there that are like, they're not even full songs. They're just like little interstitials. Like,
what was it?
Death by Death? Yeah, Death Because of Death.
Because Death, something like that. Like
they had one like that on the last one too, but
which is a very Periphery thing to do, where they have like the little like in between things, which is it's cool because it creates like a cohesiveness between the songs.
Yeah, it's a big thing for me. I'm very much a concept album kind of guy. Like everything I do is conceptual, so I always appreciate.
I assume you really love the Juggernaut like double record from Periphery.
Yeah, it's a great album. Yeah, for sure. You don't like it?
I loved it. It was so good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't like it that much the first time I heard it. It needed a couple listens to grow on me. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah?
Yeah. But yes, talking about Periphery, I think Misha is one of like the best business minds in the metal industry right now.
Yeah, because what he does, I think, is fantastic. You know, it's one of the lessons that, you know, I learned from Thomas. It's like, you have to diversify yourself. You know, every entertainer has at least 3 to 5 sources of income. Where it's like, you know, every actor, they act and they get money, and then sometimes they get residuals depending on the project. But like they do other things. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm going to use as an example. When he came over here, he had nothing, and he met his mentor. I forgot the guy's name. But the guy's like, hey, if you get into real estate, you know, you can literally do whatever you want. So Arnold Schwarzenegger got into real estate like really early and allowed himself the freedom to do whatever he wanted. So he, you know, he owns a shit ton of property out here in LA. So like he owns like a good chunk of the city. But that's one thing that he does. Yeah. So he owns real estate. He acts. I'm pretty sure he writes and directs as well. He produces. So like there's other forms of earning an income, and that's what Misha does, where he also produces, he records. He's got was it the drum sample thing that he does, the drum program?
Yeah, the Get Good drums. He's got the Horizon devices. He doesn't really produce anymore. He only did that for a little bit.
But the idea is that he still has multiple sources of income, which allows him to still do everything that he wants to do. But he also allows people to, you know, explore the adventure, which I think he's really, really good at, because he has a persona that he adopts when he's doing stuff, which is very silly, very fun. People are like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, and they just I thought it was a smart move too, where they recently they parted ways with Sumerian, and they have their own label now. I thought that was a very good move on their part.
Yeah, no, that's very smart. Mainly because, like, as a musician, like, it puts you in a shitty spot in a lot of record contracts, because they want to own your masters. Basically, whoever owns the master of the recording has ultimate control. Like, if you own the master, you could sign whatever deal it is that you with like a record label, and you can get like money fronted. Basically, a record label is acting like a bank, where they're acting like, here's money up front to record, do marketing, which is really important. Fun fact: a lot of record labels will say they'll take care of marketing, but they put in little to no effort specifically for your brand, because they have to market their own brand of the overall record label. So you want to get, if you're going to get a record label record deal, you want to be able to make sure that you have the money up front for the marketing, and just handle it yourself and hire your own like PR team or whatnot, and just make sure that you're the one running it. But they'll try to own the masters, because they could be like, oh, we could do whatever we want with these things later. Because if you own the masters as a band or as an artist, you also have the freedom to go, hey, I'm going to go and license this to like a trailer or a movie, and you get all that fucking money. Whereas if you sign a deal with a record label, you can get maybe half, and that's really like you have like the best record contract ever. Odds a third or a quarter, because they're like, we want to recoup all our money that we just lent to you, because they're a bank and they want to make their money back and make a profit.
Yeah, and that's why like I try to discourage any musician I hear talking about like hunting for labels. It's like, well, it's not what you think.
It's definitely not what they think, but depending on what the situation is, you know, it shouldn't be discouraged from hunting down a label. But you also have to keep in mind that a label is never going to sign a band because they're really good. They're going to sign a band that they see has potential in being a business.
Yes.
So, especially nowadays with social media and like the, you know, how things are, they want to be able to see a band that's going to be able to do things on their own, like a lot.
Yeah. It's not like the old days where they were basically glorified babysitters.
No, even in the old days, it wasn't. Like, you know, you had A&R, you know, like A&R guys and gals had a lot more, were a lot more important, because they had to be the ones who were going out in the ground, like in the field, to make that connection, because you didn't have the internet. You know, I'm going to use Alice Cooper as an example. Alice Cooper, great band, you know, great artist. They were terrible, like god awful when they first got signed. They got signed because an A&R went and saw them, saw that there was a lot of potential, a lot of people there for them, but they were signed solely on their stage act, and the fact that they understood their brand. So they got signed, got given a shit ton of money, and the record label basically said, disappear for a couple months and learn your instruments. Then we'll record.
Well, that's another thing that was really cool about back in the day was labels actually developed the artists back then. Like most of the bands,
they do that
not
now.
from what I hear, really. Like, because like I've always heard that's like kind of like they just drop them, or like they don't give you as much.
You gotta figure out if a label does not feel that that a band or an artist is kind of going down and it's going to be like a waste of money or people that it's just not working, they will put in little to no effort.
Yeah.
But odds are they're going to find people that already have an understanding of what their brand is going to be. Like L-Storm, like right off the bat, L-Storm understands what their brand is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like they, you have people who are working with them to help develop it and continue it forward. But like Chris, who runs that band, like the singer, he knows that brand inside and out. Or if we're talking with like Beyonce knows her brand, but she has a team that helps her with that. So like they're like, okay, we understand what she's going for, so we can look at her objectively and help guide her. But ultimately, she knows what her brand is.
Yeah.
So she's able to keep going. Same thing with like Ariana Grande. Granted, she started off as like a child star in like a TV show, and she did her thing. But the record label is gonna, if they see that you are able to work in that thing and basically work with them, they will put the time in to help develop the artist. But like with Alice Cooper was already, they knew their brand. Then the record label is like, we like your brand, we're gonna help you. So
I just thought it was interesting.
Put the effort in.
Yeah.
No,
but I thought it was interesting. It was like when you look at like back in the day, like Pink Floyd, for example. Most people know Dark Side of the Moon, but there's 3 albums before that with a different singer, and that really are not that well known. But like, they're given that time to kind of build into what they became.
Well, that's like building your brand, period.
Yeah.
Every band starts small and becomes big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Not every band becomes big, but like every band starts small and then potentially can become big.
But yeah, what I'm ultimately trying to say is the bands nowadays really have to know their shit.
The bands always needed to know their shit. It's always been that way.
But like you have business. But you have to know every aspect. Like you gotta really, like.
Every band any band that has ever gotten signed has always had to know everything, and or otherwise you're gonna get fucked over. Metallica, they learned really fucking quickly. Like they did research right off the bat, but they still learned a lot of shit. Like they just recently, within the past decade, got the rights to their masters. Like they bought out the record label for stupid amounts of money. But like even Metallica, the biggest band on the fucking planet, fucked up so bad that they didn't own their masters.
Nobody will ever own my masters. Never. I will hold on to them with my dear life.
Cry from my cold dead fingers.
I will die with my masters. Yeah, there was that.
I was trying to channel the guy from Men in Black, like the bug guy.
Oh.
Edgar.
Yeah. But the one that was interesting recently was what was it with Taylor Swift and Dr. Luke, where she was like, did you look at that situation at all?
I think I vaguely know where there's a dispute over ownership, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know the full story, but yeah, she was talking about like how like something about how like she owns none of her music. Like she has no rights over her music like at all. And it's stories like that just scare the crap out of me. And
there's also things where like a lot of art. I don't know what the whole story is, just because whatever. But a lot of pop artists in particular, they don't write their songs. So like they would get performance royalties, but they wouldn't have songwriting credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's this woman. Her name is Shelley Piken, she's a songwriter. Like that's what she does. And like Christina Aguilera, Genie in a Bottle. Yeah, no, she does not have any writing credit for that. It's Shelley Piken. Shelley Piken wrote the song. Christina would get performance royalties, but Shelley Piken gets the residuals for the songwriting.
Yeah. I wonder if I should go into that, being a songwriter. That seems like it's a good business.
Yeah, no, like that's a great way to just have, if you're a musician, have like passive income, because like when you write the song, if it gets picked up, you did your job, you wrote the song, done. Somebody else has to go and record it. Somebody else has to go out and perform it. You're just making money every time it's like played.
Yeah, there's some good. It's a shame to me though, like how many of those writers just they don't get the credit. I guess they don't care.
That's
they get paid.
No,
but
not that they don't care. It's been an issue for a while. That's actually a big thing with like the Music Modernization Act, where they're basically going with streaming in particular. There's not a lot of it kills the royalties.
Yeah.
So like there's like a whole big thing like the Music Modernization Act going through Congress, which has been going on for the past like couple of years, where they're gonna be upping the ideas to up the amount of royalties that are paid to songwriters in particular. So let's say someone like Shelley Piken, she only gets like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the royalties from Genie in a Bottle. But like the way Spotify works, like they pay less than like if you're doing regular airplay, but more people are going towards streaming services, and the laws that are in place have been around since like the 70s when Spotify didn't exist. So the idea is with this, they're going through and they're adapting the law to include things like streaming, like iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, stuff like that.
Yeah, didn't that just got passed? I think it's set in stone, right?
Yeah, it got passed. There's a couple other things that are going on. Like Spotify right now is actually fighting. Like they were one of the people fighting for it, but now they're trying to fight with having to pay. They want to pay less now. They were like, oh yeah, we'll pay more to songwriters. But now that everything got passed, they're like, we want to make a couple adjustments before it goes through. So that's what's going on right now.
That's why you can't rely on music sales.
Yeah, well, even if you were back in the day, like you couldn't rely on music sales. Like Slipknot, right now they're one of the biggest bands ever. Like they're very vocal about like they see almost nothing from record sales.
Yeah.
You make money, in other ways. Like selling your music is never how you make money.
Yeah.
Never. The only way you make money through your music is if somebody wants to license your music. And you can make money, but it's not like, oh, I'm going to make a shit ton of money.
No.
Bob Marley, I think, is like my favorite business model for anything, because the man died before he was 40 and left enough of a multimedia empire for a widow and like 7 kids to be multimillionaires each.
What did he do differently?
He licensed his before he was famous. He licensed his music to Banana Republic. So Banana Republic, the stores were just playing his music all the fucking time. So he got paid money up front, and then he was earning residuals in like all of the Banana Republics everywhere because they were just playing Bob Marley. And then eventually it got to radios, and eventually the radios got to Eric Clapton, who heard I Shot the Sheriff, who did a cover of it, and people were like, oh, this is a great song. And then he went, I didn't write it. And he pointed the finger at Bob Marley, who brought it to everybody else. But what he did was he never talked about an album. He never talked about a single. He never talked about a tour. He always talked about his message, which was world peace, love, one love. And he was genuine about it. Like he truly believed it. So people were like, wow, this guy is like, prophetic. He just loved to play music, and he used that to connect with people because he loved it, other people loved it, and he used it. But he was very smart because he held on to his intellectual properties, and he knew that he had a face, it was very recognizable, and a name, which is also very recognizable. So he licensed his name and his face to a whole bunch of things. That's why you see Bob Marley's face a name on everything. So like he was making deals. They'd pay him money up front, and then he'd earn percentages on like T-shirts or lava lamps or surfboards or stuff like that. And I think he also, right before he died, he had like a deal with Mercedes to be like a representative or like whatever. You know how like women do like the stuff with like makeup and shit. He was doing the same thing with like that. Then he died of cancer.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's how you make money with being an artist. Is like you as a band or you as a singer, you as an artist are the product. It's not the music. The music, understanding that gives you the freedom to do whatever you want and create whatever you want. And I think that's why Metallica became a bigger band not putting anything out than when they were putting out shit. And then even though they became a really big band, they were able to put out Saint Anger, which flopped. And then they were able to put out Death Magnetic, which is better than Saint Anger. But,
And then they did Lulu.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But the point is, like, they have the freedom to do whatever they want because they want to explore themselves. They want to be, like, a lot of what made Metallica so, what made them connect with a lot of people is the fact that, like, James Hetfield, for like the first everything up to and including Load and Reload, he was struggling with addiction, and that came out very much in his writing, and people connected to it. Even when they switched gears to be a rock band, they were being true to them. They're like, fuck it, we need to try something else because we want to. And they already had a brand that was established, but they were still very much in that brand. They were Metallica. They still had the same attitude. They had the same message, and they were still singing about things that were like really, really important. And I think what was really powerful about what happened with him getting sober and everything was when they were doing Saint Anger, they did the documentary, which invited everyone in to see what was going on, and it let us see really what was happening, and we got really close to them. So we fell in love with the fact that they were being so vulnerable with us because we were, and I think because they're so open with that. That's why we connect with them, and that's why they have the freedom now to do whatever they want musically. It doesn't matter because we just want to be part of the Metallica adventure.
Yeah, that's something that people have criticized for years is that documentary, but I always thought it was a good thing that they did that.
It's so fantastic.
It's hard to watch, but it's important.
Yeah, because you literally see the band almost break up right on camera.
Yeah. No, I mean you could also say like, oh, this is reality TV gone amok, but like I think that's the good version of reality TV because it actually was real.
Yeah, no, like reality TV, like if it's just like Big Brother or something like that, it's very it's literally scripted. You have something like that where you're being honest. People see that, and it's like it's reassuring that like people who we see as like famous and big, people we look up to, it's like, oh, they're human beings too. It's okay to have these emotions. Like if I struggle, it's okay to struggle. You have to let yourself express whatever it needs to express. Like holding back on negative emotions is never a good thing because it eats you up inside. Like you have to just let it run its course. Like if someone's sad, they need to be sad. They don't need to hold on to themselves. They don't need to like hold their composure. Like, you're sad, fucking be sad. It's okay. Because if you let it out, it runs its course. You're able to regather yourself and then, look at things in a new light. You're like, okay, I got that out. Let me move forward.
And that kind of comes back to what we were talking about with the metal shows. Like that's why metal shows are so great because everybody's just getting that shit out.
Yeah, and even if it's like a band like Him, it's love metal. It's like they're really, really like energetic and like into the moment, but it's like, oh, we fucking love, just this is love. This is really, really exciting love. This jump around or whatever. Like it's the same thing. If you have just so much emotion, like you're like, I need to let it out. And I think going back to the topic of being an introvert, like for me as a kid and like when I was an adolescent, like I was still very much an introvert, and like didn't quite know how to let out all those emotions because like I would be the kind of person who would be more listening to the conversation. Like I would participate, but I would be the one listening, or I would be the one who was like observing other people at a party and like occasionally interacting, but like have emotions because I'm a human being. And having this genre of music be so energetic gave me an outlet to let everything that had been building up out in a constructive way that I was able to share with people that made sense and like we were able to connect with. And it also allowed me to comfortably be an introvert if I wanted to and just be like, I'm going to sit at home and read a book. I'm just going to like fiddle on my guitar. I'm going to meditate, you know, massage my own feet, pick my nose, like whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the how it's an outlet. One thing I noticed that was interesting for me was that I was very much I was kind of a weird kid. I was kind of a weak kid. You know, I never felt like super masculine. I always struggled with masculinity, but I felt like metal was that outlet for me. There's when you know you do that slide and you hit the open E chord. Like, you feel powerful. You feel like, I am a man.
Especially if there's, like, gain on there. You're like, oh, yeah, there's that crunch. And it's so... It really is, like, I said it before, like, 15 times, so, like, in this, you know, this interview, but, like, it really is just magic. You hear the sound, and, like, it's not a word. It's not, like, someone's voice. It's literally just, like, a note, a tone, and you have control over that, and you can say so much with just that one E power chord, and it's like, oh wow, like I feel everything that this person is feeling, and like I understand them because they hit one thing.
And that's why I love Slipknot so much. Is like, you listen to something like the song Iowa, that you're hearing Corey, like you're really hearing him. Just go like you're the fullness of Corey Taylor, especially when you learn the story behind that.
Yeah, dude,
how they recorded that.
Those first two albums, like the self-titled and Iowa, like I think Corey's vocal performance on those two albums might be like my favorite metal like vocal performance because he's just so raw. It's like he yelled and growled and did gutturals completely wrong, but he did it in a way where it was genuine. Like we felt everything that he did, and like he performed on each track, which I think is the key for any musician in any genre. Like if you're gonna play, and especially you're gonna do a recording, you need to have the essence of that song in order to really get the emotional aspect out. And I think that's a big reason why a band like Slipknot can be so big, because people see that, people hear that. Yeah. And they're like, holy shit, these people are like really giving their all.
Yeah, you can hear it. And like, you can hear that
it wasn't like odd to go to like an early Slipknot show with Corey, and like his voice goes out because he's just going balls to the wall.
Yeah. And I think he's actually corrected it. I think he got some training with Melissa Cross since then. Because, you know, he's a little older now. He can't be pushing himself that hard anymore. But the only other one that I think is probably the most real song ever made is that. Yeah.
It totally.
Yeah. So the song I was going to talk about,
from
Daddy.
All Hope Was Gone, now he's definitely.
Yeah, his vocals are still good on this new stuff, but yeah. But what I was saying was Korn Daddy. That is the most raw song I think I've ever heard in my life. Like, I encourage anybody to listen to that one, but have some tissues, because it's going to affect you. And that's the one thing I miss from that era, because I haven't heard a modern record. Maybe this is just me sounding like an old man. It's very rare that I hear a modern record that has that same juice.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis is another guy who just puts his all into every performance. It's fantastic.
Just saw them last week or 2 weeks ago.
I think Spencer Sotelo from Periphery really gets that down. Like
Yes.
anytime he goes like balls to the wall with the performance, especially from like P2 to now, he's really. What was that?
No, we had a really bad delay, so just it's very behind. Sorry. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it's caught up yet, but yeah, I agree with you. P2, I think the big difference was in the first album for Periphery, he didn't write any of those lyrics. And, you know, he came on like 2 weeks before they released that album.
Singer either.
No. It was, they had a couple.
Yeah.
I think the one before him was like Jake or something. But, yeah, it was a distinct difference. I remember I was kind of thrown off when I first heard P2. I was like, wow, his voice changed. Like, he sounds like a completely different singer. But I liked the change. Like, he does some interesting things.
Every album he definitely gets better and better because he works on bettering his craft to the point where like you can notice like he's gonna try something new on each record. It's always fun to listen to the new one and be like, what's he gonna do now?
Well, he does. One thing I think I admire about him is he's very unafraid to do weird things with his voice. Like, he puts a lot of extra inflections that, like,
I know.
Every time I first hear him, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. But then I listen to it again, I'm like, oh, that's just Spencer being Spencer. And he's a vocalist that I probably...
It's so cool because, like, when he does that, it gets the essence of that song in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the... I think still the most impressive thing to me, though, is... I think it's it's Ragnarok. Where he hits that note in Ragnarok. Like, I can't believe that he hits that note. Because it's so... Yeah. It's like he must have grabbed his balls right before he did that one.
And he does it live, too, which is even crazier.
Oh, my God. They are flawless live. I've seen them twice. Oh. And it's like you're listening to an album when you see them live. Yeah.
Anyway, sir, I'm going to start heading out because I got to go eat me some dinner.
Yeah, we went for a while. And the delay is really bad. So just give the people the where to find you and stuff.
All right. If anyone wants to follow along on any of the crazy adventures that I'm going on, especially with this move back to the state of New York, you can check out my website, onthewingsofdragons.com. Everyone loves fucking dragons.
All right. See you. Peace out.
Dragons. If that's just weird and counts as being like dragons.
You never know. Hey, they're not real, so if you want to fuck them, it's fine.
You and the dragon are happy, then go ahead.
Well, like you said before, they're sentient, so they can consent. That's
fair enough.
That's a great note to end on.
Dragon fucking. Bye.